Hello, this is the Aftermarket Report with Vegas and Jim. Today's date is February the 10th, 2019, and I'm going to hand it right over to Miss Vegas so she can explain the watch list.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. This watch list is actually kind of exciting. We're going to talk about shrimp. I'm going to give you guys a little update also on what's happening with the marijuana sector this week in regards to earnings. We are also going to talk about Starbucks and Ford and Zynga. So, first, let's start with shrimp. So, I have to say, I was actually mentioning the other day that if the YouTube videos, if I could go far back and see when we started mentioning this, we mentioned this basically throughout the month of January and constantly throughout February. And, sometimes, when Jim and I are like planning our stocks that we want to talk to you guys about to keep on your watch list, some of them sometimes you might think as a viewer, a YouTuber that follows us, and even us as the content creators, oh my gosh, are we going to talk about the stock again? And you might think, I'm not watching this video. Well, you know what? That's unfortunate because I got to tell you, if you were watching shrimp when we talked about it so many times, people have made so much money. I mean, I actually did the math that if I personally would have put $2,000, which I did do at one time on shrimp, if I did not sell my original position, do you know I would have made $70,000 on one trade minus my investment? So technically $68,000. So sometimes, you might see when we list our thumbnails, we have the same ticker, and you're thinking, oh my God, they're going to talk about that again. It's so important to listen and tune in. There's a reason why we're talking about it again, because there's opportunities, hopefully, for a continuation and for you guys to make money. So for those of you that did extremely well on shrimp and that held it much, much longer than even myself, a huge congratulations, a huge thank you to Patrick, who really brought this to our attention. And we're just so excited that we know him and that he knows OTC like no one else. So over to Jim now to talk about shrimp.
Yep, well, here's the shrimp years chart, and we called this right around when it was down here around 2 cents, and we had a little bitty pop on it. Let me see, it was right about in here, this area right in here, right before the big breakout. And I'm going to pull that up on a 3-month chart. Right down in this area right in here is where we called it out at. And then every day for I think almost every video we did almost, we talked about, the continuation of this stock. And then last Friday had a huge breakout on this thing where it ran up to 70 cents. So we're talking from 2 cents to 70 within a month. And not even that long, within a couple of weeks. So I think we've kind of hit a little place where we need to, and I was telling the room, and I tell the room every day to take your profit and get in on a pullback. And it did that about every day. It pulled back a little bit, consolidated, and then bounced. So here's the 20-day chart. And all these blue lines are my extended trend lines from the breakouts and the pullbacks that I have called recently. And we only had really two days where it actually gapped up from the previous close. So, if you followed my command, or not commands, but alerts on this thing, you would have got in on this pullback when it was up here at 32 cents, down here at 24, and then from 2 days after that, it just kept on going up. And we were very bullish on this stock, and I'm going to turn this down so we won't get any interference maybe. So then I had a little trend line that I was following up on this stock, so I'm going to bring it up to the 10-day, kind of magnify it up a little bit. You can see the more active how the stock was. Now it pulled back and then bounced up, consolidated Thursday, and then Friday we had the huge breakout. And then at the end of the day, we did pull back again. And I did call the pullback Friday, if you didn't get in on an initial breakout, that it would pull back to 50 cents. And I'm going to pull up the day's chart now, show you exactly what I'm talking about. We had the breakout from 41 all the way up to 55, and I called back this 50 cent support area before it got down there, and then we touched it 3 times, bounced up a little bit, and then pulled back, and then she ran up to this 66.89. I think I was adding trend lines at this time, looking for resistances and supports so I could play it for the pullbacks. And it pulled back to my 100 SMA, kind of fell above it, then ran above the 50, and then right at the end of the day, we had a major pullback to that trend line that I had from the previous day. And that was right here at 46 cents. And then here at close, we're back up to 60. So this is still volatile. It's probably going to be a little bit more volatile, but I'm still very bullish on the stock. And all I can say is maybe we'll come back and see that 50 cents again. If not, we'll go up and we'll try to retrace this resistance high here, which is right around 69.57. That's what we got to. That's what we got to break right there. So this is shrimp. And the next one we're going to talk about is some earnings for the pot sector. Miss Vegas is going to speak about that for a
Yeah,
second.
so I definitely want to let everyone know that also the stocks that are in the marijuana sector are expected to report earnings this week. Unfortunately, we don't really know the actual dates because not every company has announced their reporting date, but it is expected that Aurora Cannabis, which is ACB, Oxley Cannabis Group, which is CBWTF, and we have Tilray, TLRY, and Canopy Growth, CGC, that these will be announcing their most recent operating results this coming week. You have to remember as well, just to refresh you guys, that there are some heavy hitters in the growing marijuana space because Aurora Cannabis and Canopy Growth likely, I think, the number one and number two, according to the Motley Fool, in terms of peak annual production at over 500,000 kilograms per year at peak capacity. And Tilray is capable of well over 200,000 kilograms if they expand their capacity, which you guys know. They did have money that was given to them from Constellation Brands, equity investment of $4 billion back in November. And this gives them obviously the capacity to expand to have a huge warehouse. So I think there'll be some exciting news coming up in the marijuana sector this week. I think triple digits plus probably. So this will be quite exciting. So Jim, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about, I guess, CGC CRON and ACB.
Yep. Well, I'll go ahead and pull up CGC first. We kind of had a little pullback on this stock. Let me pull up the 20-day. I think that'll be plenty to talk about right here. We did hit this, tried to hit this triple high here, which was right around 51.10, somewhere right around in that vicinity, 51.06. And she has pulled back for a week. And I think a lot of the other pot stocks also did too, because we've had a couple catalysts come out and said they were trying to short these at their all-time high. And that's including CRON, which their excuse and only excuse was that it was up 100%, and that's why they shorted it. But I kept bullish on it, and I'm still bullish on it. And I'm bullish on CGC, and I'm also bullish on ACB, maybe in the third. So they probably go in that order. And CGC, CRON, and then ACB. CGC and CRON are up there fighting the battle to be first place. Then we are also talking about Tilray. So CGC pulled back here to 45.15, and I think that's going to be like a double bottom for the retracement back up here to 47.13. I'm going to pull up a 5-day chart and see if we can get a clearer picture. We had like the double bottom in this area right here, and last time we hit down here, it bounced all the way up to, a high of around 47.90, and then she pulled back to 45.15. So keep that one on watch. Keep CRON on watch, and I'm going to type that in the window here. CRON, I tried to play a little bounce play on the end of the day Friday, and it failed on me. But I'll pull it up, show you what I was looking at. It did pull back to my support channel right here between 2031 and 2055, and kind of hung out in there, and you had a couple times to scalp it for 20 cents in that little area. And then at the end of the day, she decided to go ahead and pull on back, and she sold off down here at about 19, at the end of the day at 1948 after hours. She closed at 1955. So I'm still very bullish on CRON. We just got to see how I'm fighting the bears right now because people are wanting to try to short it, but I'm still 100% bullish on it. And then the last one I want to mention is ACB. ACB. I'll type it in the window. She also pulled back last week. Let me get you into the 5-day here. Actually, she pulled back and then she had a good little bounce retracement up here to 786. And then she pulled back here to 750. So these are my resistance lines. You're willing to go ahead and stop the video and jot some of these numbers down. But it seems like I'm calling them pretty much exact every time. We pulled back and hit this little support level Friday at 746. And we don't want it to go any lower than 727 for a retracement up. But I think this coming week, they're going to be bullish because the bears were fighting them last week. And then I just want to bring up NBEV just for a fast second. That's right here. She also had a pullback, 5-day pullback here, and she kind of retraced off that bottom support that I had at 608. She closed up here at 636. So I'm looking for a retracement on it, and I do have some options in this stock. And so I need to get this thing back up to 750 by the end of the week. We're going to see what happens, but I'll probably get out with a little bit of profit in my options play. And I'm thinking earnings are going to come out on this one too. So the next one we're going to talk about, and I'm still 100% on the medical marijuana and the CBD sector and the growing part of it on that sector. And the next one Vegas wants to talk about will be Starbucks.
Well, Starbucks. I have to tell you, this is honestly everyone's. So many people love Starbucks. I still think their coffee is so expensive, but you know what? If you really want to, like one really good coffee a day, I actually have to say I do enjoy a good Starbucks. I don't have time to get it every day. I think it's a little pricey, but doesn't matter. People still love it. I just want to mention, I mean, Starbucks, I was reading about, what they've been doing. They're looking to double their store count in China over the next 4 years. And this is a new strategy, by the way, that's going to help re-accelerate their earnings growth for the years to come. What they've done is they've shifted their focus towards growing overseas, obviously in China. They've actually had a presence, just so you know, in China for 20 years. But the CEO, Kevin Johnson, he's made China very central to the company's strategy. And he announced some plans to accelerate the growth in the country. And, he took over as the CEO back in 2017. He's reorganized the company and he's also, changed the corporate strategy. They had a brand called Tazo, Tazo, and they closed they sold it. They closed their Tijuana stores. They also outsourced their grocery store packed coffee business to Nestle in exchange for $7 billion in cash. And they also reacquired their East China franchise, which added 1,300 company operated stores in China. So when I say company, these are corporate stores. So, the opportunity in China lies in a rising middle class, which, by the way, is expected to double between 2018, which we just finished off, all the way to 2022, from 300 million to 600 million people. So that's a lot of people, which is absolutely crazy. But anyhow, I have to say that looking at Starbucks, okay, this has made a nice new 52-week high, but also a new 52-week closing high. The stock definitely looks overbought, and it's caught my attention. As a matter of fact, Jim and I were talking about it together on Friday, and we were kind of in discussion on voice about, what are your thoughts on getting maybe a Starbucks option call? And, I kind of said the chart looked kind of bullish to me. So I did buy a Starbucks option call, and maybe I'll let Jim talk about the chart. I'm just going to open up my desktop here. If Jim, you want to talk about the chart, I'm just going to pull up the option call I bought on Starbucks, and then I'll tell you, and then I'll share that with the viewers in a second. But if you want to go ahead and talk about the chart, that would be great.
Okay. So here's the Starbucks chart. I'm going to pull up the 3-year because we broke out of year's resistance. And that'd be a 3-year high also. So we broke out of the 2-year high, the 1-year high, and then just here we had a good pullback on Starbucks to this 61.28 area. I'm going to pull up a 1-year and show you a little bit closer analysis of it. You can see how she pulled back right there. Probably go down to about a 60.57. Then the last couple of months we had a good straight momentum upwards. And people do love their coffee. I'm a coffee connoisseur myself. But so we broke out of that resistance level that we had at 69.44, which was about 4 days ago, which was on a Tuesday. She pulled back a little bit to the 68.65. Then we broke that resistance. So let me pull up a 20 days chart. We hovered on a 20-day chart above that 50 SMA all the way up. Once we touched that 100 for a good strong buy for maybe getting in it. And then she had the double top, pulled back to the 50 again, hit that 100. And then Friday, she was very strong, bounced up and broke that resistance at 69.85. So there's really, it's kind of a self-guessing game where how much higher it wants to go, but it did break that double top on the 3-year chart, 2-year chart, and 1-year chart. And it all happened within this last 2 weeks. So like Vegas said, they opened their doors up to China a lot more, which they've done. I think they've been in there, but now they've really opened it up. And there's a lot of people in China that drink coffee and tea. And so this is your breakout here at 69.44. If it pulls back any, I think that's probably what we'll see. It would be at 69.44 for a re-entry on this, if that stock holds right there at 69.44. And that will be Starbucks. And Vegas,
Okay.
Were you able to pull that up? Hello?
Oh yeah, I thought you were still talking about the chart, Jim.
Nope, I'm done.
Okay, so Starbucks. So I was able to pull up here the option call that I bought. I actually, I only bought one, because this coming Friday the 15th. But what I did buy was the $69.50 call price, and I paid 77 cents for one contract, which is $77, and it closed off at 86. So I'm only up, $9 on the contract. And if Starbucks can continue tomorrow on this bullish trend, then obviously my contract will be worth more. And so I'll let you guys know when I sell it and what I ended up making on an investment of $77. So we'll see what happens. I'd be happy if it goes to 100, but you know what? If it makes more, I'll be even happier. But hey, you know what? Got to take the profits on these option calls because, they can move so fast, and you could, also lose what you've put in pretty quick. I mean, you can very easily lose even 50% of the value of your option trade if it goes the wrong way. You just have to really cut losses fast. So, I'll let you guys know. But so far, Starbucks look pretty bullish, and hopefully I'll see a continuation, and I'll keep you guys posted. Next stock I want to mention is Ford. F is the ticker for the Ford Motor Company. Well, I'm going to let Jim talk about this one because, when I look at the Ford chart, it may not look so bullish, but Ford, I believe, has earnings coming up. Not sure the exact day. I'll have to dig that up here. But everyone knows what Ford does. They're apparently planning to do some investments as well. I think they're looking, we read an article not too long of Jim about the company looking to expand.
Yeah, they're going
to. I think an article that we had read on Ford.
Yep, they're going to open up, we're going to invest $1 billion in an assembly plant in Chicago.
Yes, in Chicago. They announced it on yeah.
And they're going to create 500 new jobs.
How many?
500.
No, I have here 23,000 jobs. They're adding to the 23,000 jobs they've created or retained in the U.S. So 500 jobs, but it says here that they're adding to the 23,000. So I guess they're adding 500 more to the 23,000. Yep. Okay. So that's great news on Ford. So, I mean, if they're investing $1 billion in their Chicago assembly and stamping plant, that's pretty incredible. So, Jim, what are your thoughts, I guess, on the Ford chart? Because, I mean, it's not the prettiest chart.
Well, I think it's pretty. I just had a little bitty pullback to support area, and last time, both times we pulled back to this area, it's bounced up pretty good. So I got into an options call on this one here Friday, thinking that we're going to have a good pull up back to that $10 area. Um, Not to $10, but back up here to this resistance channel area right in here, which is right around 850 to 882. Let me pull up a 20-day chart on this thing. Oh, that is the 20-day. Okay, let me pull up a monthly chart, just 3-month chart, and have a look at it. See, we did pull back here to this low support area at 741, and we bounced up to about $9. We pulled back to my red trend line here at 818 around this vicinity, and we bounced up here at about 883 to that 100 SMA at 896, almost hit that $9. And then we had kind of a bad week last week. The market was selling off, so almost all the stocks pulled back pretty good. Almost all of them did. All but BA, that had one heck of a run, and it pulled back also. So I think it was just in the trend for people and the negative sentiment last week that was going throughout the market after the State of the Union speech. And it pulled back to my support level here at 818 and bounced back up to a high there and closed at 839. So what I'm thinking, if it pulls back any at all, it's only going to be about 10 cents or so, and then she'll bounce up and start to retrace back up to this 853 area, maybe back up here to the 882. And if we can break past that 882 area, we can get up here to 9. But yeah, it did have a bad couple weeks here back during the end of last year, and every other stock pulled back along with it because it was the worst December we've ever had in Wall Street. And then when January came, she bounced right up to that resistance level. So I think it's just kind of consolidated, had a little pullback, and people are going to get back in it, and we're going to ride this up to this 882 area, maybe try to hit that $9. And that is Ford. And then we got one final play, and I'm going to let Miss Vegas mention it.
Yeah, so I do want to mention, last but not least, was Zynga. We've mentioned this one too. I mean, they had their earnings this past week, and the earnings were not the best, but you know what? They had very good guidance, and Wall Street was happy with that. That we actually see that the stock's broken out of a beautiful channel and has now created another new 52-week high. We've been talking about Zynga even when it was back in the 450s. And this looks like it's ready to go towards 5. I mean, it's had a new 52-week high, new 52-week closing. The stock is overbought. Overall, I think the market's very pleased with what's going on with Zynga. And, these executives that work here used to work for Electronic Arts, the ticker called EA. I mean, that's a much bigger company, but the people come from the industry, and they work now at Zynga. So they do know what they're doing, and looks pretty good. So, Jim, what are your thoughts on that chart? Because I like it really more for a swing trade. I don't know how much it'll actually move on a day trade perspective. But, I think it's looking to do some continuation on the stock, at least maybe $5 next. But it's a very, it's moving slow. Little, you can't expect a huge jump. But I think we can see some nice continuation happening here on the stock.
Well, Zynga has had a real good breakout here in the last couple of months. We broke out from this 360 area and run up here to 488. We had that big gap up on Thursday and then a continuation on Friday. So if there's any kind of support area at all on this right now, it'll be right here around 474, which ain't too much from that previous high. And if it pulls back, it'll pull back to this area right here around 458. But Vegas was calling this out when the stock was down here, right around 420 something, and she got her a good 50 cents out of the trade. And so we closed up there pretty high. It closed actually at 488. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up the 20-day chart, just show you what kind of breakout we've had on this stock from down here at this 420 area. She kind of kept going with higher highs each day. And then this day here, we had a little pullback, and then that next day it broke past that previous high that we had. So this has been a higher high stock from a whole month, 20 days at least. And then Wednesday we had a good pullback on it to support level, and she bounced on up and continued all the way up to the new double top here. And we got a double top right here at 493. She looks to me like she just hit 492 within a penny. So this is one that I've got on watch. I'm not in a trade right now. I'd rather get in on a little pullback if I could, but it definitely looks a little bullish. It looks a lot bullish, actually. Run from this 420 all the way up to 490. So like she said, it's been a slower little gainer, little by little, but yet it's bullish. And this is Zynga, ZNGA. Keep it on watch. Check. You can draw some of these trend lines that I have on here for support levels. I'm looking at maybe a low support at 467, maybe down here. But you seen what happened on this day. It pulled back a good from 465 all the way down to 433. That was a 30-cent dip, and that would have been a real good time to get in this stock, because you see the big bounce it took about 5 minutes later, or 4 hours later. We got back up here to that previous high, which is at 483. So this is Zynga. Keep it on watch. It could be a little volatile, but yet we did break past that into that double top area. And we got to break this 493 to get anywhere come Monday. And I'm going to go ahead and draw that trend line right there. And that's the conclusion of the watch list. And I'm going to hand this right over to Miss Vegas and see what she's got to say here.
Yeah, so that wraps up the watch list for today. And for those of you that are new to our channel, we have now an I Love Stocks Discord chat group. You're welcome to come check it out. There is a free trial for a few weeks, and then if you decide to join, you're welcome to join if you find it meets your needs and that you enjoy being here. I just want to clarify too, like, Jim and I were together in another Discord channel, and we weren't the owners of the channel, and we've been there for about a year now. And we decided to make our own, really, because the owner of that channel had openly shared with the group, back in December, that unfortunately his family member is not well, and that his focus and priority was definitely to commit to, focusing on the family and taking care of his family member, and traveling for January, and that they were basically going to be leaving the trading community till at least probably 2020, which, we think for sure is the right thing to do. I mean, family is always first. I mean, the market is always here, but your family, when you're dealing with something serious, you have to put your energy there. So Jim and I wanted to still continue having a room. And, it was mentioned back then from the blog post that there would be a bit of a transition into basically January. And then basically here we are, February. And we were inundated actually with messages from people saying, I hope you guys continue having a room. So we just created our own because we didn't own that channel. And we just created one under I Love Stocks. So we hope that you'll enjoy being in this channel. We've added some new features in here, and we try to keep the room clean and simple and easy to follow. And our mission is always to help traders and to also help newbies. And if you have any suggestions or feedback when you're in there, send us a message. We welcome you to come by, and hopefully you'll join us. If it's not for you, then it's definitely, no problems. I mean, there's so many things going on out there, so many chat rooms out there. You just really got to pick the one that you like. At the end of the day, you have to pick what fits for you. And that's what matters at the end of the day, is what's best for you. So on that note, new link is in the YouTube video. Please come on by. We welcome you. I'd love to see women traders come by. I'm so excited that I have so many more women traders coming by, messaging me, thanking me, and feeling supported by Jim. Jim loves women traders, and he is so supportive of women doing well as well. And, options for me has been very new, and I've had some good success with some options going in the right direction. And you know what? I'm learning. Like some options I'm fortunately losing money on. And when I lose on the trade, I admit it. And there's nothing wrong to admit when you're not doing well on a trade and you close it for a loss. So that is what learning and sharing is all about. So hope everyone has a great weekend. Definitely love stocks, love the viewers. We love that we're almost at 800, so that's great. And thank you for listening and subscribing. And we see you tomorrow in our chat. If not, we'll see you tomorrow on YouTube. Have a great weekend.
Yep. And our blessings go out to the founder of that old channel we were in, and we wish them well. And this is the Aftermarket Report with Vegas and Jim. Today's date, February the 10th, 2019. And have a great day. I love stocks.